Hi everyone! Today I'm here with another round of three book wrap-up video. I'm very behind on those. So these three books that I read, I think I read them a month or so ago, if not more than that. So hopefully I still remember the details, but we'll find out. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is The Last Town by Blake Crouch, which is the third book in a trilogy, Wayward Pines thriller trilogy, and I think this one was my favorite book in the trilogy. So I'm obviously not going to be talking too much into detail about the third book because it's the third book and I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I will briefly mention again the first book. But I think I did talk about it in one of my previous videos, so I'll try to find the link to that one and put it in the description if anyone's interested in checking that out. But in the first book we follow Ethan Burke, who one day wakes up in this town. He doesn't quite remember anything. He seems to have just had an accident on a road and he's in hospital, and people seem to be staff seems to be extremely friendly, but something seems a little bit off with this town. So he remembers that he came to this town to to investigate the disappearance of two of his colleagues because he's a secret agent for the government. So that's why he's there, but things go down in a slightly different route to what he expected. So like I said, the third book is the best one, and I remember when I finished book 2 thinking that the third book was gonna just be great, and I was right. It was so amazing. The first book was a bit slower for sure, and then the second book opened up so many more opportunities, and then the third book is just the best in a trilogy. I think I still gave it 4 stars because it's not quite a 5-star book for me, the whole trilogy, unfortunately, but it's still pretty good. And the sci-fi element in this book is also really quite interesting and a little bit mind-blowing, as well as Blake Crouch normally does anyway. So I can't really talk a lot about this book without spoiling anything. So what I'm just going to say is it is the best book in the trilogy. There's a lot of action happening in this one. We get a few answers, I think, as well, which is exciting because we did have quite a few questions throughout the trilogy. And I can't quite remember how it ends. Oh no, I do remember how it ends. Can't say much about it, but it was kind of an exciting ending again, but in the theme of how Blake Crouch likes doing his endings. So can't say much more than that, but it was great. I really liked it quite a lot. It was exciting. I couldn't put it down. I think I read this book quite quickly as well. It was constant action, and we still followed the same characters. We still kept going from one to another, which sometimes it does throw me off, but in this book it works absolutely fine. It works perfectly. It wouldn't work in any other way, I think, to be fair. So I really enjoyed it, and Blake Crouch is definitely one of my favourite authors. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. I kind of like the cover, and this is a horror book. It was the first time ever, I think, I read a horror book, but I read it. So in this one we follow Kara, who after her recent divorce, she moves to her uncle's house where he's got this museum of different weird things and stuff like that, and there she discovers a bunker in which she goes and finds basically a way into different realities, and there are some creatures that can hear your thoughts, and the more somebody fears them, the more dangerous they become. I found this book so interesting. I did not expect to love horror as much as I did, but I gave it 5 stars because it was great. I enjoyed every single bit of it. I really resonated with the main character. She was amazing. Then we also had a different side character, or rather he was sort of main character at some points as well. He was interesting as well, and seeing their friendship as well was great. And also the fact that there was no romantic interest whatsoever. That was kind of refreshing as well, because normally in books I find there's always something like that, but in this one there wasn't, and it was refreshing and it was great. And the atmosphere is probably the strongest point. I felt the atmosphere throughout the whole book. It was also actually quite humorous as well, the humor between the two main characters and the main characters' thoughts. I did sort of laugh a couple of times throughout the book, which was great. And like I said, the atmosphere of the creepy elements as well was scary, but somehow also cozy. I did find it cozy and comforting going back to this book. So every time I put it down, I would be thinking about the book, I would want to go back into it, and somehow, even though the horrific things were happening, because it's horror, I still wanted to go back to it, and every time I was reading it, I felt like cozy and comforted, which is probably a weird thing to say, but I really enjoyed this book. I gave it, like I said, 5 stars. It was fantastic. The plot was really interesting. It wasn't gory much. There were a couple of gory moments though, which was a little bit gross, but they added to the story. But it wasn't like jumpy scare type thing. It was the atmosphere and the unknown and all of that. That was great. I don't want to say too much because obviously spoilers and stuff like that. And like I said, I read it a couple of months ago now, so I don't remember too many details, but I would say T. Kingfisher is now definitely the author I'm interested in, and ever since I also read the Twisted ones, which I will be talking in a wrap-up at some point soon, hopefully, whenever I get to it. But yes, so I really enjoyed it. It was great. It was great fun reading this one. Very atmospheric. I really enjoyed the plot, really enjoyed the characters, the dynamic between them, and all of everything. I loved it so much. It was great. And the last one I'm going to be talking about is Take Your Breath Away by Linwood Barclay, which is a thriller or mystery. In this book we follow Andy, who had a wife, and then one day she just disappeared, and so 6 years later he's still blamed for her death because everyone thinks she's dead and everyone thinks he killed her. But then one day recently, suddenly there are rumors about this woman appearing on the street where his house used to be. Now there's a different house there, but this woman stops by the house and just screams out loud, "Where is my house? What happened to my house?" So now everyone thinks it's her, but is it really her? Is it not her? If it's her, what's happened? So many questions. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was interesting. I remember this book annoyed me a couple of times as well. Especially did the stupid thing of when it always says like, oh, and this character told me all the details about it, and I did this about it. So we don't know what they've been told until later on, and that kind of annoyed me as well. I can't quite remember, again, many details about this book because it's been a while. That's why I need to film these videos on time, right after I finish the books. That was the idea of them. But anyway, so I did enjoy the book, and I remember really enjoying it at the beginning. Then the middle was sort of a bit like, I don't know, slow for me, and then there was one moment of good, like 50 pages or so, they were really good, and then it sort of slowed down again. So I did struggle with the pacing. It felt for quite some time, from probably half the book, not much was happening, and yeah, it was a bit slow, but there were good moments in the book as well. And like I said, it did annoy me a couple of times for different reasons as well. I wish I remembered them now, but I don't. There were quite a few twists that I did not expect that happened in the book. That was quite a good surprise for me. And what I thought was gonna happen didn't happen, and the main mystery, I was wrong about that. And I constantly had questions as well, so that kept me interesting though. So the intrigue definitely was there. It's just that the pacing sometimes was a little bit off, and I did enjoy different sort of storylines with different characters as well. They added to the story, but like I said, a couple of twists that happened sort of at the end, did not expect them at all, and did not see them coming, so that was interesting. And that's a good thing, I think, for me in the thriller, when I don't know what's going to happen, or when I think I know what's going to happen and I'm wrong. I actually like that in books. So yeah, but it wasn't anything like mind-blowing. I think there were different, it's not like different formats of the book, but there are a few interviews sometimes, but it's not exactly a mixed media thing. But I did enjoy the interview format as well on occasion. It was rather good. So it was a good mystery. or thriller, but wasn't anything groundbreaking or anything, and it did frustrate me with the pacing and a couple of other bits that the author chose. But it was interesting, it was good. So there we go. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the 3 books that I've mentioned in this video. Please let me know if you read these books and what you thought of them. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!